Pleasure to talk to you, as always. We now move on once again back to Europe, where Russian drone and bomb strikes have killed at least 6 people in Ukraine's east and south, according to local authorities. The latest escalation comes as Moscow continues its aerial assaults on Ukrainian cities, defying US President Donald Trump's call for a halt to its invasion. The deadliest attacks hit the Dnipropetrovsk region, where at least 3 people died and several buildings were damaged. Governor Sergei Lyask reported that a drone attack in the Kherson district caused a fire, killing 2, while a 52-year-old man was killed in another strike. Additional casualties were also reported in the partially occupied Donetsk, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions. Ukraine reported that Russia launched 35 long-range drones overnight, though it's far fewer than the hundreds Moscow is capable of deploying. In retaliation, Russia claimed to have shot down 73 Ukrainian drones, including 10 headed towards Moscow. We're now joined by our guest, Mark Sutherland, who's a geopolitical commentator. He joins us live from London to discuss this in further detail. Mark, thank you very much for joining us. Before we get into the diplomacy, let's first talk about what's going on the battlefield here. We've seen escalation from both sides, it seems. What are your thoughts on these new strikes that have once again hit these regions in Ukraine's east and south, Mark?
Good to be with you, Thomas. Any escalation is sad. We want this war to end extremely quickly. We want people to come to the peace table to discuss that. I understand in one of these attacks, even one I think drone or missile had actually bounced off the local regional rabbi's car. I don't think anyone was injured within that, and sadly also a train and even the transportation building was then attacked as well. Thomas, I think there is a greater issue here, which is, as you said, there was only 35 drones. The whole Russian military strategy is to draw the Ukrainian army in and away and to slowly go through, as we've called it, in regard to the meat grinder. But as you would rightly point out, we've just seen rockets go in yet again, go into, of course, civilian areas, damaging infrastructure, etc. But there is a bigger, wider discussion that is reported very well by others, people like Paul Warburg in the States, which is to look at how suddenly the whole funding then of Ukrainian weaponry, when certain weaponry is now appearing into the theater of war, and the fact that suddenly they may take ground and then suddenly they will lose that ground because they then don't have access to the particular missiles and armaments that they actually need. As I've said before, joining you and others on this channel, that we want to see this end. And at the moment, we're not seeing that situation at all, and there's been appalling casualties on both sides.
Indeed, Mark. We have seen a statement from the Russian spokesperson today saying that there's unsure of when or if there's going to be more direct communication with the US president and his Russian counterpart. However, Dmitry Peskov, the Russian spokesman, did say that Vladimir Putin can facilitate that at an appropriate time. What are your thoughts on that relationship? How might Donald Trump view this escalating situation? And do you think that Donald Trump is doing an effective job in brokering this peace deal?
I think that when he first came in, when he was saying, "Oh, this, I'm going to get this sorted out within days," we've also seen Zelensky in Washington, in the White House, and behavior in that situation. what we're then finding behind the scenes, of course, NATO has promised and said that they're stepping up in regard to investing in regard to their own military for many years. Europe has relied on the Americans, and Trump has called that out. But Trump now is in a situation where he's got to keep his base happy. But as it was reported, I think on just under a couple of weeks ago, where he had asked Zelensky, could he reach Moscow? Now the Americans have been putting armaments again into the Ukrainians' hands. And Trump is then able to turn around. He is the man of the deal. He wants money back. Now, the Ukrainians are buying some of that. NATO is buying that. So they are then able to give to the Ukrainians in the theater of war. It's, as in your previous guest, it's very interesting. The whole thing of diplomacy, using tariffs to some extent, it's murky. But these are the other factors that are coming into play here, Thomas.
Indeed, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us on the show, as always. Your insight is very much appreciated. We now have some breaking news coming in after Germany on Friday deported 81 Afghans convicted of crimes to their Taliban-controlled homeland. The United Nations is insisting that no one should be sent back to Afghanistan. Spokeswoman Ravina Shamdasani has said that UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk calls for an immediate halt to the forcible return of all Afghan refugees and asylum seekers, particularly those at risk of persecution, arbitrary detention or torture upon their return.